Good morning, guys. In this tutorial, we are going to learn the core part of Active Directory. So, as you know, in the organization, how much is AD is needed. That means without Active Directory, organization cannot work. So, for your information, what AD basically do? Let's create one list. The first things, if we tell that AD will have objects, uh, perform design or scheme design through which you can create object like user object, group object. So one job is that you can create user object, computer object, AD object. So where the object is stored or how the object is created through a scheme. So there is a first thing is manage schema. Second thing is what? Domain. Domain means when you are creating a domain, that is the first domain and first forest. Other than you can create multiple domain within a forest, right? So managing domain. Third is what? Third is authentication, authorization, time synchronizations, password replications. That thing is do. So another one is authentication, authorization, password replication. Next is what? Next is while you create object in AD, either computer object or user object, it's require SID, right? So generate SID. Generate SID. Okay. Third is what? Third is cross-domain transaction, inter-domain communication. Communication for what? If your users is the member of a domain and you want that user to be a member of another domain group membership, so how member to be added in the group if it is showing SID? Anyhow you can't, right? Because it's showing SID, no one, it's not showing the name. How you, to whom you will add in the group? So who can manage this? It's a part of AD rules. So inter-domain transaction. These are the five. Oh my God. These are the 5 roles are basically AD do. Oh. Sorry, that was gone. Sorry, let me get. Object define and storing. Manage domain. Authentication, authorization, time sync, password replication. Next is RID, SID and RID generation, SID and RID generation. Last is cross domain transaction.
So all of this work lead by FSMO rule, right?
Yes, will discuss definitely. Cross domain transaction and SID conversion. These are the main part of Active Directory. As a whole, we call AD. Basically, AD perform this task. Is that clear? Now
Yes, Java.
question where this is cooked in AD. That all 5 things will take care by 5 different roles. That we called schema master, that we called naming master or domain naming master. That will perform by EDC, that will again perform by RID, that will perform by infrastructure. So our FSMO role is schema master, domain naming master or naming master, EDC emulator, RID master, infrastructure master. Just check that and let me know if you have any questions. I am expecting you guys have questions. From this representation, will you guys have any queries comes to your mind? Please look into it and let me know. Is there anywhere you are suspecting or anywhere you have any doubt why this is, why not? Proshun, Devlina. See that. There it between a, first of all, I'll make it a space here. First question, why you make a space between that? First question. Second question, why this color is different?
Authentication, authorization, and time sync and password application. So why these sentence, why this line is another from other lines, and
Hmm.
why you are marking this line in a different
Exactly.
color?
Exactly. That I'm explaining. So for your information, first two role, object define and storing and managing domain, basically schema master and naming master, it is a forest wide role. That means in a forest, forest means was my first domain, first forest. In a forest, if you have multiple domain, so schema master and naming master, that will one once in a forest. Clear?
So basically, schema master and domain name master, these are hello. These are the belongs to one same forest.
Okay, for your information, when you create a first domain, it become a forest. Now you're creating a child domain, right?
Yes.
The child domain contain three other domain. Let's look like this. Now as a whole, it's a forest. As a whole, it's a forest, right?
Yes. Yes.
So now if you create a naming, what is the first name domain name? mylab.local, right? So your child domain will be uk.mylab.local and your another child domain will be usa.mylab.local, that you already aware, right? So
Right. Yes.
my question, schema master, naming master, once in a forest means what? That means in the root domain, only these two role along with other three roles. 5 roles are always in top forest. That means first forest. Rest of the domain, only these 3 roles. That is why I am telling it is a forest wide rule. So there was an interview questions. I have a enterprise or I have a forest, and the forest contain 3 domains. One is root domain and 3 is child domain and pre-domain. Okay. Now tell me, how many we have a schema master and naming master? Your answer will be, sir, schema master, naming master is the forest wide role, always placed on the first domain in the forest. That means my forest name is mylab.local. So when mylab.local domain was created, all 5 roles are placed there. Another, all the domain within a forest contain only domain wide role. What are the 3? It is simulator,
Dada,
ID
can you
master,
repeat the question again?
and infrastructure master. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Dada, can you repeat the question again, because there
Yes,
is
yes,
a
yes.
network issue
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't
Great.
able to hear.
No worries, no worries. I'm telling you. Interview may ask you questions in a forest. How many schema master? How many naming master? Your answer should be schema master, naming master is the forest wide role. So always it will be once in a forest. That means whenever you are creating a first domain, mylab.local, it will be a forest. So that all 5 roles will be on first domain. Whenever you are creating a child domain or tree domain, only 3 domain roles are there. We'll do the practicals. We'll do the practicals on that. Don't worry. In that case, we'll create a forest. Forest contains 3 domains. In primary domain, you will see all 5 roles are there. All the child domain, you will see only 3 roles are there. Clear? That is why I am saying these two, schema master, naming master is the forest wide, PDC, RID and infrastructure is the domain wide. Clear? Is that clear?
Yes, yes, Dada.
So basically, these 5 rules works for only for the forest, and the 3 ones like authentication.
Okay, for your information, you can tell that naming master, schema master is the forest wide role. So that means in a forest, how many roles are there? 5 roles.
5 rules.
PDC emulator, SID master, RID master, infrastructure is the domain wide role. That means in child domain, how many roles? 2 roles. Here.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So that is the placeholder of the FSMO rules. That is the first questions that may ask 2 questions in interview. Next, coming to what is schema master, naming master, RID master in the depth we will understand. Let me open that notes. So FSMO role concept. Active Directory is a multi-master system. Any DC can accept changes. That is why we called multi-master. Any DC can accept changes. But for certain critical operation, only on DC in the forest or domain can act as a master. These are FSMO role holder. There are 5 FSMO roles split it into forest wide and domain wide. Forest wide role, only 1 per forest. Schema master, naming master. Domain wide role per domain. That means each domain you have a naming PDC, infra, RID. Now what is the function of schema master? Function maximum schema master function maintain and update the AD schema, definition of object and attributes, location only on DC in the entire forest. Scenario, when extending the schema, example installing Exchange, Skype for business, SCCM, if schema master is down, you cannot modify the schema, but normal questions, operation, user logon, authentication continue. Point to be noted, everyone I'm telling, point to be noted. What schema master do? Schema master only required whenever you are installing such a Exchange, SCCM tools, tool in your infrastructure, which is required to update your schema. Then the schema master is required, else it is not. Else it is not. Coming to the naming master. Function. Control adding or removing domain and application partition in the forest. That means if you are going to create child domain, tree domain, so you are adding a domain, right? So similarly, whenever you are doing the domain deconsolidation, you will removing the domains, right? So controls adding and removing domains and applications partition in the forest, it is required presence of your naming master role. Location only 1 DC in the entire forest. So scenario, creating a new child domain or removing a domain require these roles. It unavailable, you cannot create or delete domains, but existing domain works fine. Point to be noted. Again, I'm telling everyone. Point to be noted. What schema master do, what naming master will do. Coming to domain wide role. RID master. What exactly it is? Allocate RID pool to DC for creating a new security principles. Allocate RID pools to DC for creating a new security principles like user groups computers. Location one part domain. Scenario. When a new users or computer is created, DC assign SID. SID is combination of domain SID plus RID. If RID master is down, new object creation continue until the DC runs out of its RID pool. After pool exhaust, no new object can be created. So point to be noted. Fourth, PDC emulator, primary domain controller emulator role function. The most critical FSMO role in domain, it performs time synchronizations, all DC sync with its sync in external NTP. Process password changes if it has password changes on the DC. PDC is consulted if logon fails. Group policy editing. GP updates are written on PDC. Act as a NT for BDC. Location one part domain. Scenario. If PDC is down, user may face password mismatch issues after reset. GPU modification may fail. Time drifting issues must be most reliable well connected DCs. Infrastructure master. This is the point. So PDC emulator, what they do, point to be noted. Coming to infrastructure master. The function of infrastructure master is update cross domain references, group membership. When a group from one domain has member from another, location one part domain. Scenario. If a user from domain A adding to a group in domain B, infrastructure master ensure references are updated, except if all DCs are global catalogs, infrastructure master role become a redundant. If it fails in multiple domain forest, group membership display may shows outdated members. Clear? Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, Dada, yes.
Now tell me which role is critical most role here. That's why I told point to be noted for each role. What schema master do, what naming master will do, what PDC do, what infra do, what RID do. Now, among all five, which one is the critical most?
PDC emulator, Dada.
Exactly. Very nice answer. Excellent. Clap for you. Because PDC manage authentication, authorization, password replications and time synchronization across the domain and forest. Sorry, across the domain. So, if PDC goes wrong, hell lot of problem happen. You will face users are shouting, not able to log in. Clear? Is that clear?
Yes, Dada.
So coming to FSMO role in single domain versus multiple domain forest. Single domain forest, all five FSMO roles are in the same domain. Commonly roles are placed in PDC emulator, RID master on domains. Schema master, domain naming master, infrastructure master can be another. Multi-domain forest. Forest role schema master, domain naming master only exist in forest root domain. Domain rules RID PDC infrastructure exist in each domain. Forest with three domains: root, child, child 2. Root domain has all five domains. Child domain has three domains: wide roles, RID, etc. Child 2 domain, RID, PDC, infra. So total roles in the forest is 2 for forest wide, 3 into 3 domain wide, 11 into forest wide. Practical scenario. So for that practicals, very simple requirement. We need total 2 DC to execute the initial our today practicals. Okay. So we have created two domain controller in a forest, single domain, single forest. If you go to here, two domain controller, DC01 and DC03. So my question, where your FSMO role holder are running? Is every domain controllers or a particular one domain controllers? How to check? Command is
Head-on query FSMO.
netdom query
W query.
This is through CLI you will check. Now if I say you how to check GUI, then where you will get open dsa.msc. Here you will get operation master, see that RID EDC infrastructure. Okay. Now how to see the schema? In that case, you first register the schema DLL. Okay. So open CMD run as administrator, then run reg SVR32 schmmgmt.dll. Right? Then go to MMC, add remove snapping. You will see schemas there. Right click. This is your schema master. Okay. Now where you get the domain naming master? Open domain.msc. Right click, operation master. So is that clear? All about the FSMO role, what exactly it is, how to place, what to place. This is for single domain, single forest. Next, we have a practical multi-domain forest, how FSMO look like. Here, in FSMO series,
FSMO role दादा transfer करो तो क्या बता था?
Exactly, in FSMO series, we have a 5 practicals. One is FSMO introductions, then we have a FSMO practicals, then we have a multi-domain forest practicals, then we have a transfer, then we have a Caesar, then we have a metadata cleanup. So total 5 practicals, we have this role, FSMO role series.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
Let me save that first.